So my cousin Julia, 27F, started dating my ex-boyfriend Louis, 29M, 2 years ago. I, 27F, had been with Louis for 3 years. We started dating after he graduated and I was in my second year of college. We stayed together for 3 years and broke up a couple of weeks after my 20th birthday. It was honestly not a good relationship, and I regret the fact that it was my first relationship as an adult. He and I were perfect on paper, but in reality, things were quite different. He was really insecure and controlling, and would not let me do anything that I wanted to by myself, like going out with my friends to bars and stuff, or even let me speak to my male friends. He was always keeping tabs on me, and any time that I did not do things that he wanted me to, he would start manipulating me and gaslighting me to think that I was the reason this was not going to work, and I was also pretty desperate to keep him around me, so I would bend over backward for him, but that was still not enough to make him stay. He was the one who dumped me, saying that things were not working out, and then proceeded to block me so that I would not be able to contact him. I tried really hard to get in touch with him, but after the breakup, he was completely gone, and within 2 months, I heard from people that he had already moved on to his next girlfriend. So, that was a colossal waste of my time, and I really don't like that guy. We had no contact with each other for some time after the breakup. But then, when I turned 25, he finally unblocked me and reached out to me to wish me a happy birthday. I did not respond to him, and I thought it was weird that he was texting me because by then, I had also moved on, and I was with somebody different. But he still kept texting me, even though he did not get a response. So ultimately, I had to block him, and then, we did not speak for a couple of months again. However, just a few months after my birthday, Julia invited me over, and when I went to her house, she told me that she wanted to introduce me to somebody, and it turned out to be Louis. Apparently, the reason he had been texting me earlier on my birthday was because he wanted to make things right with me before this happened. The two of them had met through work and had started dating and were quite serious about each other. Julia and I have been really close right from our childhood, so this came as quite a shock to me because she had known that he and I really did not get along, and he was quite toxic to me. So I was very taken aback when I realized that the two of them were together, and she told me that she knew I would be uncomfortable, but she wanted me to give it one chance, and I really wanted to do that, but it was just too much for me. I wanted to be happy for Julia, but Louis was somebody who had caused a lot of pain for me in the past, and it was my first serious relationship because in middle school and high school, I did not have anybody except crushes. And he had ruined that for me, so I had a major grudge against him and the way that he had treated me in the past. I tried to be as respectful as possible about it, and I told Julia that while I really wanted her to be happy, I could not process the fact that she was with Louis now, and I did not think that I wanted to be a part of her life anymore. She was really upset about it and tried to talk to me several times after that, but I couldn't accept it. Because she, of all people, had known exactly how toxic he had been to me and how traumatized I had been because of him. But she still went on to date him, and she kept telling me that he had changed and was a better person now, but I did not buy it. She was free to have him in her life and be with him. I did not have a problem with that. But also, I had the right to cut him, and by association, her too, out of my life. It was very simple for me, and obviously, it was really hard for me as well since Julia and I were really good friends, along with being cousins. But then, there's something that I absolutely had to do for my own sake, and I did it. After she told me that she had started dating Louis, I stopped speaking to her much, and for the past 2 years, we have been really cold to each other because once she realized that I was not going to talk to her, even she started acting distant with me, and I don't blame her for that. We would meet at events and stuff, and we would just ignore each other, whereas earlier, we had always been the cousins who would stick to each other and gossip about everybody else. But now, things were different, and I was honestly okay with that. Everybody had their own life and the freedom to do whatever they pleased, so I did not have a problem with her. I just did not want to speak to her, that was it from my side, but I guess she took it personally and wanted to get back at me or something. So she took it upon herself to start talking crap about me to other people from our family and ruin my image, which I did not think was necessary at all. Because I would never do that to her, I had never done that to her, even though we were not getting along. For the past year, she had been telling everybody that I was the reason behind my breakup with Louis, and apparently, I did not have any morals or ethics. She and Louis had been spreading rumors about me, saying that I would flirt with other boys while I was with Louis, right in front of him. And that was the real reason why he would end up getting possessive and controlling. They made it sound like I was the flirt, and that's why he would get insecure when it could not have been further from the truth. It was actually the other way around. He was the one who would be excessively friendly with other women and expect me to be fine with it, but did not like it when I would have male friends, even though I kept it completely platonic. And he would constantly manipulate and gaslight me into cutting everybody out of my life. I found their strategies to ruin my reputation among my own family members very offensive, but was honestly too busy with my own life to care about what they were spreading, and it was not like anybody actually believed them, so I was fine with it. And I did not respond to that or react, since I knew that it would give them exactly what they had wanted, a reaction out of me. I was also aware of the fact that I wanted to put an end to this. It would be really easy for me since all I had to do was speak to my auntie and she would take care of it all. Even though I was no longer close with Julia, I was still pretty close with her mother, and the woman was a federal court judge, so I knew that she would do the right thing. She is my dad's older sister, and everyone knew that she has a spine of steel. She would never do anything underhanded or wrong, so I don't know how Julia turned out to be the way that she is, in spite of being the daughter of somebody like that. Literally, one conversation with her would put an end to all of this, but as a consequence that, I knew that Julia would also have to suffer quite a lot since she was quite financially dependent on her mother since recently. She had started her own jewelry line, but it was not doing too well from what I had heard. Anyway, I did not want to bother her with such petty things, and I knew that I was strong enough to handle it on my own. So I did not bring it up with her, and also, I wanted to let this go on and see what kind of ridiculous rumors they would come up with, because either way, my other cousins were still coming up to me and telling me what she had been saying behind my back. So it was just amusing and a form of entertainment for me. Then, 6 months back, they got engaged and announced the wedding dates soon after. My parents received an invitation, but I did not, and I was fine with it. I did not expect to be invited to the wedding either. I don't think I would want to attend even if I had been invited, after everything that has gone wrong with me and Julia, let alone me and Louis. The wedding took place 3 days ago and it was just another day for me, so I was not too concerned about what was going on there. But after a certain point of time, my phone started flooding with texts from everybody in the family. Everybody was harping on about some speech that Louis and Julia had made at the wedding, and I was really confused. But then my parents called me up and said that they needed to speak to me. So they were the ones who finally told me what had happened, and I lost my temper at that point. Apparently, they had taken the opportunity at the wedding to make a horrible speech about me and spread as many nasty things about me as they could at once. They wanted to turn everybody in the family against me, and I guess they might have succeeded if I did not have anything against them in my arsenal. Julia and Louis have been clever enough, not to mention me by name, but kept referring to a certain ex-girlfriend who was not present at the wedding, which would only be referring to me because who else could it have been? Anyway, they repeated all the rumors that they had tried to spread about me already, like I was the flirt, and apparently I was a gold digger as well, and I would rely on Louis for money and expect him to pay for everything, and he had too, since I insisted I was just a college student and could not be wasteful, so I would demand that he took care of me financially when we were together. That was not true either. I would always make it a point to split everything on our dates and never expected him to pay for anything, let alone demand. But the most horrible thing they said about me by far was when they accused me of cheating on him, which is what ended the relationship, according to their stories. So now, at the wedding, they had said that they were glad that I was out of their lives and had not been present at the wedding, since they did not want such a negative influence to be anywhere around them either, and had given the family an ultimatum, that from now onwards, they could either invite me to their events or them. Since if I was present at any family event, they would not be attending. And after that, people started flooding my phone to tell me about it, but I only got to know about it from my parents, and I was majorly pissed, as I mentioned earlier. So, I thanked them for what they had done, because my parents had left immediately after that speech since they could not stand the fact that Julia was going to such lengths. They also told me that my aunt was really perplexed about what was going on and spoke to them about whether what Julia was claiming in her speech was true or not, since it seemed very out of character for me, and she was right. I hadn't actually done that, and she was completely correct to doubt her daughter about the truthfulness of the statements. Anyway, after getting to know what they had said about me in their wedding speech, I decided to go all out and dug up screenshots from the past to prove that they were lying. I had to do a lot of digging, and it took me quite some time since I had to scroll for several minutes to get to the part that I wanted. Thankfully, after a really long time, I was able to find the screenshots of the chat between me and my ex that I had been looking for. These were around the time from when we were picking up, and he had been particularly toxic and vicious at that point in time. He had said a lot of nasty things to me, like how we wished he had never started dating me and how he had wasted 3 years of his life with me when he had the option to be with other people, since a lot of women had expressed an interest in him during that time, but now, he finally going to go out with other people. There was no mention of cheating, and I am pretty sure if I actually cheated on him, he wouldn't have let it go so easily. Anyway, I scrolled even further back up, and I found other chats of him being toxic towards me, and then I went ahead and posted it all online without an explanation or caption, because I think those chats would speak for themselves. And so they did, because after I posted the screenshots, because started texting me once again and commenting on the post saying that they knew that whatever had been said was not true, because it just seemed really weird for me to act that way, because everyone had known me for ages, since I was a child, and I was not the kind of person who would do such things. Those screenshots just went on to show that they were lying, and knowing that my family was on my side and not theirs, that was all that I needed. In fact, several people even contacted me to tell me that they had left the wedding, just because of the things that had been said about me. So while Julia and Louis had been hoping that they would be able to turn people against me, their speech had backfired horribly, and nobody was on their side anymore. Worst of all, not even my aunt was on their side anymore, which was really bad for them. They contacted me on the night of the wedding itself and literally started begging me for forgiveness, because apparently, after reading the screenshots that I had posted online, My aunt had spoken to them and expressed how disappointed she was by the fact that Julia had been so dishonest and was trying to ruin my reputation just because she couldn't stand the fact that I had chosen to cut her off because she was with my ex-boyfriend now. Most of the guests had already left because of the ongoing drama, and after speaking to them, my aunt also told Julia that she was very upset and disappointed in her behavior and had expected better, so until she apologized to me, and I forgive her, she was going to be cutting the two of them out of her life as well. And then she left, in spite of Julia trying her very best to convince her not to do so, since she was really depending on her mother. At night, the two of them called me and started apologizing profusely because they knew that they would not be able to make do without my aunt's support since she had been supporting her daughter financially for quite some time now. Julia had actually been planning on shutting down her business and taking a break for some time, which meant that she would have to rely on her mother even more now, but since my aunt had decided to cut her off, things were not going to work out according to plan and she was really worried for the future. And that's why she had contacted me and wanted me to forgive her, take down that post, and speak to my aunt about all of this. I was really upset about everything that happened, so I refused to do that and blocked two of them. But since then, they have been trying desperately to contact me and get me to change my mind, and now, I'm really confused about what I should do. My aunt is a really upright woman. We have spoken. She had contacted me the day after the wedding to let me know how sorry she was about whatever Julia had done, but I told her that I did not want my equation with Julia to affect our relationship, since I had not let it happen in the past and I would still not let it happen now. So it's all cool between us, and I know for a fact that if I speak to her, I can make things right for Julia, but I personally feel like I don't really need to. She is a full-grown adult woman, and she should be able to sort things out for herself. The other consequences of her actions, but then again, I would feel like a total jerk, knowing that I can help her and I'm choosing not to. I'm just kind of conflicted about what to do right now. So please, help me out. Ida, for not speaking to my aunt and convincing her to forgive my cousin after she made a horrible speech at her wedding with my ex-boyfriend about me. Update 1. Hello. So first of all, thank you so much for all the comments and support. Before I get into the update, I just want to get one thing out of the way. My parents attended the wedding, like a lot of other family members, because they are kind of in the older generation of our family, and they were not exactly aware of the rumors that were being spread about me. Louis and Julia were mostly saying it to our other cousins, and relatives in the same generation as us or around the same age. They were keeping the older people out of it, so my parents had absolutely no idea what was being said about me, and so, they had chosen to attend the wedding out of respect for my aunt, even though they were kind of aware that there was some bad blood between me and Julia after she had started dating this boy. I had not said anything to them or complained to them on purpose, just like I had not said anything to my aunt, because I did not want to drag them or involve them in such petty things. I was above all of that, but clearly, Julia and Louis were not. Anyway, my point is that my parents were not aware, and that's why they attended the wedding, so there is no need for anyone to question them or hate them. As soon as they, and some of the other people from the older generations, found out the kind of things that were being said about me at the wedding, they chose to opt out and are not on speaking terms with Julia or Louis anymore, so it's all fine. I hope that's clear now. Now moving on. It's been 1 week since the wedding and I blocked Louis and Julia, both. So they could not be able to get in touch with me, but that has not stopped them from trying, since they keep making new accounts on social media and keep sending me emails, even though I just keep blocking them. They are desperate, but I've made up my mind that I'm not getting myself involved in helping them out here. I have kept in touch with my aunt and she has made it very clear to me that she is only going to resume supporting her daughter after I forgive her, but honestly, I don't think I need to forgive her because for 1 whole year, I had kept my mouth shut, and I had allowed them to say whatever they wanted to about me because I was not taking them seriously. But they thought that it was a free pass for them to take things to the next level, and now, they're going to have to face the consequences. There's also another fact that I honestly don't feel like she deserves the support from her mother, since she is in her late 20s now, and I think by now, she should have a sense of what she wants to do in her life. I can't imagine anybody still relying on their parents for money, at this point in life. It's not even like she's not educated enough or is not competent enough, she's just always been way too lazy to stick to a job. It had been that way when we were in our early 20s and had just graduated, and I thought that she would grow out of it, but it's still the same way now. So in a way, I think I'm kind of doing her a favor because not getting any financial support from my aunt is going to probably teach her to be better at her job or whatever. Either way, I have made up my mind that I'm not going to help her out. I have discussed this decision with my parents, just to let go of some of the guilt that I had been feeling, and they said that I was perfectly justified in whatever I was trying to do. It was my call whether or not I wanted to forgive her. I did not have to forgive her if I did not feel that she deserved it, just because I was worried about what happened to her in the future. Besides, Louis still had a decent job and he could support the two of them if they really wanted to get by without any financial help from my aunt. The bottom line is, I spoke to my parents, some of my friends, and even you guys here, and most people agree that I have no reason to feel guilty. So, I feel much better now, to be honest. But I have taken that post down because I don't think that it needed to stay up much longer. Everybody in the family already knows what went down and I don't want to keep that on my profile, since a lot of other people follow me and it would be really difficult to explain everything that happened to them. So it was much easier to just take it down. Right now, I'm just trying to focus on myself and let go of all the anger and the guilt that I had been feeling for the past couple of days, so I've come back to meditating and trying to take my mind off of things and deal with everything in a Zen way. And I really hope that Julia and Louis also try to do better with their lives instead of basing it all around me and making me the reason that they wake up in the morning every day like they have been doing so far. I think that'll be better for all of us. Update 2. Hi. So it's been a month since the wedding, and from what I know, Louis and Julia are back on their BS again. My aunt is still not speaking to them because I have not forgiven them yet at this point. I don't even need to. Because I know that their apology was not genuine. They were only apologizing because they wanted money from my aunt. They didn't actually mean it. After a couple of days of trying to convince me to forgive them and tell my aunt to speak to them, they gave up when I did not respond. After that, they went back to spreading rumors about me. And this time, they were really creative with it as well. Apparently, they went around telling everybody that I was trying to ruin their relationship with my aunt on purpose because I wanted all the inheritance to myself. It doesn't even make sense, and it's so absurd that I would do something like that because my parents are pretty well off as well. Let's not even get there, since I myself have a decent job and I'm doing well for myself. I don't even need to think about inheritance because, at the rate that I'm going, with the grace of God, I will not need to rely on anybody for money. Maybe they do, that's why they are thinking along these lines. But anyway, they have been telling everybody all of this every time they run into somebody from the family in public, which happens pretty often since all of us live in the same city and they live close by to several of our family members. People have been avoiding them like the plague, yet they find a way to talk about me somehow. It just doesn't make sense to me why they're so obsessed with me since I have not done anything for the past month. All I do is ignore them, and yet, they can't let go of whatever has happened. Anyway, I got pretty annoyed by this last week and I told my aunt about it, and she told me that now, even if they do apologize, there's no way that she is going to get back in touch with her daughter, and she even communicated that to Julia, blocking her again, and now, the two of them are even more pissed at me than they already were. I know that because they made another fake email account to send me a really angry message via email, because that's the only way that they can contact me now. They told me that they were going to make me pay for all of this, like ooh shiver me timbers. I know they're acting unhinged right now, and it's not like I'm really scared, but it can be quite inconveniencing, so I wrote back to them and said that if they tried anything funny with me, I would call the cops and not even hesitate in sending them to jail, so they had better watch what they do. I'm hoping that it scares them off, and if not, well, I have a pretty good security system installed. Update 3. So 4 days ago, I received an email from Louis and Julia saying that I would have to face the consequences of what I had done. I also warned them that if they tried to do anything funny, I would report them to the police, and yet, that did not stop them from doing the most idiotic thing in the world. Last night, they tried to break into my house. Julia has been to my house several times. She knows that I have a very advanced security system in place, so obviously, I was alerted as soon as they even attempted to open my door. I don't even know why they thought that my door would be unlocked in the middle of the night, at around 1 in the morning. As soon as that happened, I made a call to the police and alerted them that somebody was trying to break into my house. I had a feeling that it was going to be Julia and Louis, but just in case it was not, I did not want to take any risks. So they showed up within 15 minutes, and unfortunately, for the two of them, they were even dressed like burglars and had been caught trying to make a run for it a little distance away from my house, since they hadn't brought their car with them and had cycled all the way here. The two of them tried to claim that they knew me personally and for not trying to steal anything. They just wanted to break in and speak to me, intimidate me a little bit. I don't know why they admitted to that, as if that was going to make them look any better in the eyes of the law. Julia immediately started crying once she had been placed in handcuffs and started begging me to not press any charges against her, but I did not have any sympathy to spare for her. You can't just keep screwing up again and again, and expect people to forgive you. Louis just kept looking at me with pure hatred, but that hardly mattered to me. I was quite used to that. Anyway, after that, I went back to sleep because I had work in the morning, and this morning, I told my aunt and my parents about what had happened, and they told me that they knew since Julia had used her phone call to call my aunt so she could come and bail her out, but my aunt refused to even go see her, so now nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm definitely going to press charges against them because I want a protective order against them, since they are obviously unhinged, and I don't want anything to do with them anymore.